Episode of Fresh Start TV. I'm your host, Dave Henning. Today I have another exciting interview with my friend Melvin Turner from Louisville, Kentucky. So let's join the interview now. Well, good day. I'm Dave Henning, and we're talking today with Melvin Turner from Louisville, Kentucky. Melvin, welcome.
Welcome. Glad to be here and to see you again.
Well, Melvin, we had a great time meeting when we first met in Nashville. And tell me a little bit about your background.
Well, basically, I'm originally from Knoxville, Tennessee. Oldest of four guys, and did my undergrad work at Tennessee State University and my graduate work at Indiana University. So, as you might expect, my background is in education. I've been a high school teacher of biology here in Louisville, Kentucky for a few years, and then after I left the high school scene, I went to the University of Louisville as an administrator, coordinator of educational services, where we dealt with career and academic advisement of students, professional development of staff and faculty.
Excellent, excellent. So you're into education, as I am as well. I love helping people grow and learn and teaching. So that's wonderful. So tell me a little bit about what is Team Enterprise? What's that all about?
Well, Team Enterprise is basically a promotion company. Years ago, I used to promote authors and other speakers. And one gentleman that came to me for advice implemented a lot of the advice that I shared with him, and off of that advice, he made something like $250,000. So I decided to take my own advice at that time, and my wife at that time, we sit down and we came up with the company name Team, T-E-A-M. The word team is an acronym, which means each of the letters have a meaning. The T is for Turner, which is our last name. The E is my daughter's middle name, Elizabeth. My wife's name was Audrey, and my son is Melvin. So that's how we came up with team.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
That's right.
So that's interesting. Tell me what speakers and authors that you've worked with in the past years.
Well, I've worked with a vast number of speakers in all kind of categories. The number one guy that I enjoyed that was known all over the world, he is now deceased. His name was Jim Rohn, J-I-M, Rohn, R-O-H-N. I got with Jim Rohn probably 25, 30 years ago in Orange County, California.
Wow, wow.
I invited him to Louisville, which was the first time that he'd ever been in this area. And through his exposure, of course, the large corporations in this area began to invite him to help them to increase their bottom line in the way of profit. I also worked with Les Brown when he first started.
No kidding. That's wonderful.
You hear Les Brown's tape, Facing Yourself, Part 2. He talks about how Melvin Turner in Louisville, Kentucky helped him get started. And then
what was that? What was that called? Facing. I'm writing that down.
Yourself.
Facing Yourself.
Yourself. I think
Nice.
Part 2. And then there was a gentleman out of New York that I must have had here in Louisville a dozen times. His name was George Subira, S-U-B-I-R-A. Subira wrote what I call the money books before they got to be popular. One of his most popular books is Black Folks' Guide to Making Big Money in America. And the whole book was excellent, but one chapter in specifically that I just enjoyed reading over and over. And the title of that was Working for Your Damn Self. And so George, and then the second book was Getting Black Folks to Sell in the sales arena. Then probably the number one networking guy in the country is named George Frazier. And George originally stems out of Cleveland. He has a networking conference annually, once a year. And I think it's moved to Dallas, Texas now. And the whole mission and objective of George's event is teaching people how to properly network and get business for their company.
Wow, that's fantastic. So I might have mentioned to you when I saw you that I was, Les Brown was on my bucket list to see him, and he actually came to San Jose, California, I believe it was last year, and I made it a point to get a ticket and get down there to see Les, and very exciting for me. I took a lot of notes, and it was also exciting me being an old disc jockey at several radio stations that Les had a background as a disc jockey in, I believe it was it Cincinnati or Dayton, and he had a chance to introduce the Jackson 5 to the world way back when in the early days. I believe that's part of his story, but it was so wonderful to see Les Brown. I've got some of his books on my shelf back here. And then to hear that you work with the one and only Jim Rohn is fantastic. I went to a company convention years ago with my wife down in the Moon Palace at Cancun, Mexico. And unbeknownst to me, when I got there, I learned that Jim Rohn was actually the keynote speaker. And boy, did I take pages and pages of notes, a lot of wisdom. What a wonderful man. And I followed his career for many years. Wonderful guy. And to know that you work with him is fantastic. So thank you so much, Melvin, for sharing that with us. So how did you come about your signature Attitude is Everything poster? I've got it right over here. Thank you for sending that to me, by the way. That's another acronym.
Yes. Well, after I found that the gentleman had made $250,000, I sit at my desk at the university, and I was wearing the Attitude pin. I've been wearing that for a number of years, and I just said that I'm going to add this to my business. So I kind of played around with the word attitude, but my intention when I came up with the meaning of attitude is that when I shared that with individuals, be it entrepreneurs, business owners, or just individuals, I wanted a message that they could put in their mental computer and use that as a motivating factor to improve their quality of life. And that's how I came up with the meaning of attitude. If you look at each of the letters there, for example, activate your potential. Everybody has potential, It's just being able to identify what your potential are. Like I tell audience sometimes, a lot of people think New Year's is January 1, but the New Year is in the morning when you wake up. And so you have to get up every morning with the new year, Each day you get another chance. As they say, anything the man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And you see, that's so true. The T is turn all negatives into positive. A lot of times things happen and people will fold. But if you just keep chipping away and don't let it get you down and don't let naysayers stop you, and that's the difference between the winners and the losers, if you want to put that label on an individual, right? And then, life is beautiful. As I said, every morning that you wake up, you get another chance. So tune into the positive side of life, And the I is imagination. It's key self-development. Using your mental computer to be creative. There was a story where a gentleman was singing in the choir, and he was afraid when he had a solo that he would lose the page in the hymnal. So he tore a little piece of paper and he put it between the two pages, so when he was singing a solo, that he wouldn't lose the page. Well, after church, he went home and he took some glue and he put at the end of the little piece of paper that he had torn to use in the hymnal. And he went to work, he shared it with his coworkers, and they kind of teased him. Said, man, you know, nobody would ever go for that. But he didn't let that stop him. He contacted 3M, and 3M bought the idea. And so now we have the little Post-it notes.
I got mine right here.
Yeah. So you see, those kinds of creativity, you can take something that may seem very trivial or small and make it a big thing. Now those Post-it notes are all over the world and in every office. Okay, the you is unique. Everybody is unique. You know, back years ago, and you probably are familiar with it, when Dale Carnegie wanted to know what makes people successful, and he hired Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill studied people for, I think, 25, 30 years, what makes people successful. And that's when he came up with Think and Grow Rich. Right? And the question is, you know, people say, well, one day I'm going to buy me a house. One day I'm going to start my business. But instead of one day, you need to develop yourself now. Start right now, because you've got today. But so many people live in yesterday. And, you know, some of the people in the audience that when I speak, they'll ask the question, and maybe it's something that happened to them 20 years ago, but it's just as real. And as a minister that I like listening to on Sunday out of Dallas, Texas, Reverend T.D. Jakes.
Oh, I love him. He's great.
Sit on the front row, you know, and I like that. So the sooner that we realize that, and it's like going forward. If you're driving down the street in Los Angeles and you keep your eyes on the rearview mirror, you're going to hit something, you know. So you got to look right in front of you, you know. And some people you just can't please. You have to let them alone. You know? Unfortunately, some of them be family, maybe a neighbor. You probably heard of the story about former A, who was very positive, and former B, who was very negative. Raining one day, former B goes over former A's house and said, man, if it doesn't stop raining, it's going to wash the crops away. So former A said, but the crops need the rain in order to carry on photosynthesis to grow, so we'll have some food. So former B leaves and goes home. Next day, the sun shines. Former B goes over to former A's house and, man, if the sun doesn't stop shining, it's going to burn the crops up. So former A said, but the crops also need the sun in order to carry on photosynthesis. And former B leaves and goes home. So former A is getting a little tired of former B always complaining. So they both like to go quail hunting. So former A went out in the woods and taught his dog how to walk on water. Brought the dog back home the next day. Former B went over to former A's house, and former A looked at former B and said, say, man, let's go quail hunting. So former B said, yes, I'd like to go quail hunting. So they went out in the woods, and they saw a quail. They took their gun, boom, shot the quail. Former A looked at his dog and said, go out there and get that quail. The dog walked on water and picked the quail up and brought the quail back. Former A looked at former B and said, man, did you see that? Did you see that? What did you think about that? Former B looked up at former A and said, can't swim, huh? So we run into some of those kind of folks. And the last letter is express and enjoy life. You see, we get all excited around Thanksgiving and Christmas, but every day you should have that mental attitude that it's Christmas, not just certain times of the year, birthday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, but every day that you can look up and get up is Christmas.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
How I came up with the word attitude, and attitude is everything. And since then, everybody has gotten posters from Muhammad Ali,
right,
ex-President Clinton, to numerous business owners, schools. Just had the manager of the Sheraton Hotel in Indiana wanted a large attitude poster put up in the meeting room for employees.
Let me see if I have that over here somewhere. I have the one you sent me over here in a big pile on my desk. It's in there somewhere. The attitude poster you sent me. I got to get it framed. I love it. So yeah. So I was just actually, speaking of imagination, I was just actually recording a training from John Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, about the chapter on reflection, slowing down and stopping to pause and reflect and think, which also stirs up your imagination. So like you were saying about the 3M sticky notes, the things that people have come up with almost by accident, it seems like, but providential, wouldn't you say? And I'm with you. I love the teaching of T.D. Jakes and the message that he projects as well. Someone that changed my life that I never got to meet the man, W. Clement Stone, the Chicago insurance millionaire who was the manager for Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich. Clem Stone wrote the book, The Success System That Never Fails. And when I was at a turning point in my life as a disc jockey in Kansas City, and I had to go into the sales department, it was easy to talk to 1 million people over the air in front of a microphone in a room all by yourself, but to be able to get out and talk to people out on the street and in their businesses was a scary proposition. So that book, The Success System That Never Failed, was given to me by a retired preacher man named Drexel Ferguson. He's no longer with us, but I treasure that book now because just the principles in that book, you might have seen it, little hinges that swing big doors, and all the sayings that he has, powerful. And your acronym on attitude, I will definitely treasure for a very long time. So what advice would you give to people who want to improve the quality of their life?
Well, first I would say get a piece of paper and a pen and write down your goal, what you want to achieve. And then write down what activity under each goal that you're going to use in order to reach that goal. And then put a timeline. Be very specific on the timeline. And then what you're going to do is take inventory of yourself, where you are now, and what characteristics you have to work with. And it may be, look at, there's what we call the Mastermind concept. And that's where you get 2 or more people to work with you towards your solution to a problem or reaching a goal. So you want to be very selective in selecting maybe 2 or 3 people in your mastermind. And my recommendation for the mastermind concept is you have to look at your strong points and what you're good at. Then when you identify individuals in the mastermind group, those areas that maybe you aren't that efficient in, then you want to use that to select a person that's efficient in the area that you're deficient in, so to speak. That way, it's nothing more than your own board of trustees, but these are people that you can use to assist you in meeting your goals. So after you have taken inventory of yourself, then the first thing would be to actually start. What is going to be your timeline, okay? To get started on what you want to accomplish. And then, as my buddy Jim Rohn used to say, once you reach your goal, treat yourself. You know, go and have dinner. You know, whatever you enjoy. It's just a way of celebrating. All right. So that's basically what I would suggest. And then, as a thank you to your members of the Mastermind group, you're going to send them either a Christmas gift, Christmas card, or if they're in your city, invite them to lunch or dinner, just for their professional input in helping you to accomplish what you want to accomplish. So those are the areas that I would recommend. And then go to hear speakers that inspire you. Make sure that you get self-help books, read at least 10 pages a day, you know, or more if time permits. Then work on yourself. As Jim Rohn used to say, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. So
right.
If you do those things, then you'll live quality life, you see. And what a lot of people don't really understand is that they think jogging, lifting weights is the number one exercise. But the number one exercise is sleep. If you think about when you go to sleep or during the day, you take a 20-minute cat nap and how good you feel when you wake up. That's the way that the body replenishes itself. And then eating wholesome food, foods that are good for the body, live food. So all that, what I'm saying is like you were a chef and you were making a pie, then you would have to put certain portions of each ingredient into the pie. If you put too much vanilla extract, it wouldn't taste right. So you want to take the exercise, the sleep, your goals, your mastermind, and you put all those together, and that'll help you to improve your quality of life.
Fantastic. So I did want to ask you a question because can I talk about your brother over here in Sacramento a little bit? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
So he is the assistant coach of the Sacramento Kings. Is that right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so were you also athletic, or was he the athlete in your family?
Oh, I was athletic. I was athletic also. All my brothers, we all played sports, but my younger brother, or little brother, he was the only one made it big time, if you want to call it that.
Right.
Played with Chicago Bulls, with Dallas Mavericks, with the Denver Nuggets, and then got into coaching in the NBA. So he's been coaching in the NBA probably a good 25 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. So he makes his home in Houston, and of course he lives in Sacramento during the NBA season.
That's outstanding. Outstanding. So let me ask you this question, if I may. How did you get involved in LegalShield? That's where we met. I have to pronounce it correctly. Nashville, not Nashville, I believe is how they Nashville.
Yeah,
how us residents there pronounce it. How did you get involved in LegalShield?
Well, I've always been like an entrepreneur. I was in other businesses, Juice Plus, Shackley, what have you. And a gentleman by the name of John Drennan and his wife moved to Louisville about 6 years ago. And I met John at church one Sunday. And it's funny, he's a Caucasian, I'm an African American. But if you look at his track record and the things he's been involved in, it was like me looking into a mirror. And what I mean by that is I was a biology teacher, John was a biology teacher. I worked with Jim Rohn, John worked with Jim Rohn. Okay? I was a basketball player, John was a basketball player. John taught in higher ed, I did some teaching in higher ed. So John invited me to lunch one day, and he shared with me some information about what he was doing in LegalShield. And my response was that, well, I'm doing Juice Plus, and I don't think I'll be interested in LegalShield. So we got together again, and we became good friends. And during our conversation one day, he told me the story about how LegalShield contacted him and let him know after 9 years that he'd made his first $1 million. And then later, he had made his second $1 million. And last week, or maybe the week before last, was his 21st year being in LegalShield. And he is now working on his third $1 million. Matter of fact, we were together the other night at the meeting after the meeting, breaking bread. So that's how I got into it. I asked him to kind of mentor me. He's a member of my Mastermind group. Just as you and I were discussing about John Maxwell and T.D. Jakes, John and I, we talk, share ideas and information that will help each other, kind of a support group in the way of the Mastermind. So that's how I got into LegalShield.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Yeah, it was quite the convention. Lots of people from all over the country, North America, actually, and we learned a lot of stuff. We got to hear from Mr. Grant Cardone, who was an incredible speaker, and the Attorney General of Washington, D.C., who is originally an immigrant from Haiti. Wonderful man serving there in our nation's capital, and so many leaders in the business. I got to say a word briefly right after I talked with you, I believe, with Mr. Nick Serba, who's one of the original guys in LegalShield, and what a wonderful testimonial of a life given to serving others and equal justice under law. So can we give out your address if people want to contact you, or, hey, look what I found? There it is. That's that's your poster right there. Attitude is everything. Like John Maxwell says, your attitude determines your altitude.
Oh, that's true. That's true. And I will drop you one of my attitude pins in the mail. So
wonderful. Well, in the meantime, I'm gonna autograph my copy of my little book, How to Become a Barnabas Leader. Unleashing the positive power of encouragement in your business, family, and relationships for true and meaningful success. I wrote this a few years ago, and ironically, it hit #1 bestseller on Amazon in leadership for a brief amount of time. So that was an unexpected surprise for me. But I'm going to send you, for being with me today, Melvin, a copy of my book. You send me your pin, I'll send you my book.
That's a great pin. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a series of radio interviews that I did with people like the gentleman that put Seinfeld into syndication for Sony Columbia Pictures, and he went through a time in his life where he was profoundly changed by someone that showed up and encouraged him, and some other people in that book that had the same kinds of experiences. And I tell the story of that Clem Stone book that changed my life as well. But I want to give that to you as my gift to you for sharing your life and sharing your time with me today, Melvin. I truly appreciate it. And it's one of those, I don't believe in coincidences. It's more like divine providence that we connected and are sharing together today. And so may I give out your address here? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
So you can be contacted by writing to TEAM, TEAM, P.O. Box 222, whoops, let me say that over, a lot of twos there. P.O. Box 221212, Louisville, Kentucky, 40252.
Right.
And do you want me to give out your phone number or no?
Yeah, telephone, you can give it out. Fine.
Sure. If you want to talk to Melvin, maybe he'll honor you with his poster as well. Attitude. His phone number is 502-338-1179. That's 502-338-1179. I've been speaking with Melvin Turner from Louisville, Kentucky, home of the Kentucky Derby. Got a lot of horses and a lot of beautiful women there. Thank you, Melvin.
And in 2 weeks, we will be having the Breeders' Cup, which is the biggest horse race in the world.
Wonderful. Awesome. Very good. Melvin, I appreciate so much you spending time with me. Thank you so much, and I'll send you your copy of this interview as well. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, well, thank you, Dave, and you have a healthy and success day, and same to your family. Enjoy talking with you, and look forward to continuing our positive relationship.
Excellent. Thank you.